It's RT International. The oil price is on the up after falling below $50 a barrel. That was in January. At the moment, it's rising steadily, give or take a few very minor fluctuations. But for some oil companies, though, in America, it could be a case of too late. Some U.S. energy firms are now making major job cuts. People are literally being let go by the thousand. Experts suggest it's all because Saudi Arabia has been challenging the growing U.S. shale market. Here's RT's Igor Priskanov.
Global oil prices have dropped to their lowest levels in years in 2014, in one way or another affecting the entire global economy and especially oil exporting nations. There's an interesting political aspect that I want to discuss of the story with a professor of political science, Thomas Rotnam. Sir, thank you very much for coming here. First, let's look at the United States, which have produced record amounts of oil last year when high oil prices still made fracking profitable, but now the industry has seen up to 60,000 job cuts. I've spoke to the head of a local oil and gas company in Texas. He gave us a little bit more detail about the situation there. Before we begin, let's just listen to a bit of that interview.
The expectations now are that there will be 10,000 fewer wells drilled in the United States this year. No one can afford to keep workers on the payroll if there's no revenue coming in, and so the layoffs are a natural outcome of the low oil prices.
So the situation there is pretty complicated right now, and many blame OPEC, the club of some of the biggest oil exporting nations, for refusing to cut production so that the oil prices would go back up. What's the role of Saudi Arabia, a member of the organization, in there?
I think it's Saudi Arabia has definitely had a hand in trying to undercut the fracking industry in America, and I believe it's pretty much had some successes, as you've heard here.
Professor, we've prepared this chart for you. It basically shows the OPEC member states here and how they are connected to the price of oil, and this is basically how much oil has to cost for them to balance out their budgets. Nevertheless, we've heard from the Saudi Arabian Minister of Petroleum and Minister and Mineral Resources, who said that they could still function normally, their economy, for up to 8 years, even if oil was at $20 per barrel.
Well, that's a question to understand whether it's profitable for them to bring the oil out of the ground or balance their budget. The two are different factors. Some say that the huge Ghawar oil fields in the east of Saudi Arabia can be profitable at $10 a barrel. If they cut their production and oil prices rise even further, those jobs in the United States are just going to flow back to the tight oil production.
So in these new conditions, would it make sense for Saudi Arabia to actually keep the oil prices where they are right now?
If they can keep it at $60 a barrel, they can take offline a lot of the tight oil production in the United States.
You can't be a lesbian, you've got children. Britain's Home Office rejected the refugee claim of a Nigerian asylum seeker who said she was in danger because of her sexuality. Authorities insisted her children from previous relationships was a clear sign that she couldn't possibly be gay. Aderonke Apata is a prominent LGBT rights campaigner. She's been active since she arrived in Britain in 2004. She was voted a positive role model at the National Diversity Awards and featured on the 2014 Rainbow List of the most influential gay rights campaigners. Apata's plight led to a number of street protests. Right here, footage from one in Liverpool. Dozens of supporters marched through the city towards the border agency. They handed in a petition calling on officials to overturn the deportation ruling. And the activist says she fears for her safety if forced to go back to Nigeria, where she can wind up behind bars for 14 years.
I think that the comments are quite offensive, very homophobic, and in fact it's caused a lot of outrage. So at the end of the day, we kind of been forced to a very desperate situation, producing so much evidence from my former partners of same sex and my present partner, and people that know us together. We really don't know what else to do or what to say to convince the Home Office. In Nigeria right now, there's an anti-gay bill that has been passed into law for 14 years. And apart from that, I've had so many death threats.
Supporters have turned to the internet to help overturn the deportation ruling. Twitter has been used as a platform to vent anger at the decision. One user accusing the Home Office of bigotry, sexism and racism. Another tweet is also critical but says that's no surprise. Almost 30,000 people have signed an online petition calling for Apata to be granted refugee status. A final ruling could come by the end of this month. Apata's partner says she would also leave if the deportation goes ahead.
If they want to send her back home, we'd rather go together. I still stand by my words.
For Happiness, my partner, to say she's ready to be deported alongside with me, it tells you how terrible and how emotionally this is on us. She got asylum here in the UK based on her sexuality. The same UK government gave her refugee status because of the fear she would face risks if she was to be sent back to Nigeria. But the Home Office is very happy for her to go back with me to Nigeria just because they want to deport me. And that's very, very cynical. I think that is double standard.
Global snapshot in brief now. 5 pedestrians injured in a suspected terror attack when a car rammed into a tram stop in Jerusalem. It happened in the east of the city, which is a mainly Arab area. Police said the driver got out of the vehicle and attempted to stab passers-by before he was shot by a security guard. Extreme weather hitting central Italy, killing at least 3 people. Gusts of wind reaching up to 100 kilometers per hour toppled trees and damaged homes. More than 80,000 people without power in Tuscany. Railway services have been suspended and flights delayed across the entire region. Dozens of children and their parents came to Capitol Hill in Washington for a playful demonstration. As part of the so-called Slide Free or Die movement, they enjoyed the last snowy days, sliding and sledging in the heart of the U.S. Capitol. Authorities had prohibited such fun as this on Capitol Hill after 9/11. But the community slammed back, declaring the ban utterly pointless. The St. Pauli district in the German city of Hamburg is known for its party till dawn philosophy. But fed-up locals want to calm things down, and here's why.
St. Pauli ist das Partyviertel in Hamburg und für über 20 Millionen Besucher im Jahr ein Riesenspaß. Für die Leute, die hier wohnen, ist das nicht immer so lustig. Denn Betrunkene pinkeln überall hin und ruinieren das Stadtbild.
Das nervt. Und vor allem nervt es am allermeisten, wenn auf die Kinderspielplätze gepisst wird.
Part of a video campaign called St. Pauli Pees Back. It's aimed at tackling the smelly pee problem. The idea is to spray walls and houses with a special liquid, and if you relieve yourself against the stone, you'll be quickly finding your own urine back on your shoes and your clothes. We spoke to the head of the campaign.
This is the red light district, and we have got a lot of clubs and bars and so on, and a lot of alcohols and a lot of guests here and tourists. We have 20 million tourists per year in the year, and so we're the hotspots here. We are searching for a solution that has nothing to do with policemen and nothing to do with controlling. Only with the communication with the guests. And so we're searching for that, and now we found it.
A Chinese company is aiming to create whole districts of new houses, all made with a 3D printer. It recently produced the tallest ever house made solely with a 3D printer and is now vowing whole streets will follow. Now, there are a few options on this. The Chinese manufacturer is saying that it can also create luxury villas at the push of a button. And we spoke to the head of Winsun about the aims and benefits of this project.
The major advantage of our printing houses is that we can build with high efficiency. We are much faster than traditional printing houses. We use less waste than the traditional way. We can use waste from the building materials in the printed houses, and it will be resistant and eco-friendly for the environment.
Ultimately, the plan is to go global. Recently, Winsun clinched a deal with the Egyptian government for construction of some 20,000 units, though the method does have its critics.
I think it would work great in certain areas of construction, but not in everything. The problem is that 3D printing is still fairly expensive. And so for, say, disaster relief instances, I think that prefabricated tents still probably are much cheaper than 3D printing. In many large cities, like here in New York, a lot of the new construction are large skyscrapers that are very large and complicated. And I don't think 3D printing is going to be able to replace those kinds of construction.
All right, just a moment here on RT International. We'll be back with Boom Bust with Erin Aid. Thanks for sharing your Friday with us.